Yeah,
I like it.
okay, welcome, Avram. Welcome everyone here. We are going to continue on a class on the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We're going back a little bit. We're going back to chapter 11, Siman Yud Aleph, which was dealing with the laws of Mezuzah. And before we begin, we have to say L'chaim on our coffee. You're looking, she's looking at me like funny over here.
Don't drink the very last sip.
Yeah.
You put cinnamon in here? Okay. So we're learning Hilchot Mezuzah, and the first time around we skipped a few halachas in regards to mezuzah placement, where to put the mezuzah, and especially with the different doorways. And sometimes houses are not always built in with a regular doorway. Where exactly do we place the mezuzah? So in the Kitzur, there is about 2 or 3 or 4 halachas about it. And then we have over here a new book that came out a few years ago that goes into greater detail. So I want to first read from the Kitzur, and then I'm going to go through many different scenarios. The way he deals with it over here, because a lot of it is very contemporary, because the Shulchan Aruch gives us basically general direction, general lines of what type of rooms need and what type of doorposts need, etc. But then there's a million scenarios, right? This doorpost, that doorpost, it only has one doorpost, it has doorposts that have a lintel, right? There's so many different ways how to build rooms today, and each one you have to discuss exactly how to put or where to put the mezuzah. Does it need to have the mezuzah, etc. So let's see what it says in the Kitzur, and then we'll kind of go through many different scenarios, and we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, so we'll start with the Halacha Yud. I think we might have done already, number 10, chapter 11, Halacha 10, but we'll do it again because it might be applicable to the discussion tonight. So we're talking about what room, how big of a room or how small of a room is obligated to put a mezuzah. If you have a little closet, you have a little pantry, right? How about a walk-in closet? What is the size of a room that is obligated in a mezuzah? So it says, Ein habayis chayim b'mezuzah eli im kein yesh bei arba amas al arba amas. So the minimum size for a mezuzah to be obligated in a mezuzah, for a room to be 4 amos by 4 amos. Okay, how much is 4 amos? If we are assuming that an amma is roughly 18 inches, right? So 18, 36, 72 inches by 72 inches. So it's 6 feet by 6 feet is what's the square footage? What's 6 times 6? 30 square footage. Okay, now the question is, what happens if it's not exactly 6 by 6? What if it's 5 by 7? Right? What if it's the 36? What if it's long and narrow? Right? What if there is an actual space of 6 by 6? So it continues on. It doesn't have 6 by 6 or 4 amos by 4 amos, but it still has the square footage. For example, it's longer and it's long and it's longer than its width, or it's round. So then there are 2 opinions whether it's obligated in mezuzah or not, and there's no clarity exactly what the maskana is. The Alter Rebbe in his Shulchan Aruch actually does not have this section of Shulchan Aruch. We're missing the laws of mezuzah. However, the concept of the minimum requirement for a room to be considered a room comes up in other areas of halacha. It comes up with Shabbos, with are you familiar with the idea of Erev Tchumim, where you're just walking out of the city and you're walking 2,000 amma? Are you familiar with that? You're not supposed so you have to put a piece of bread, and then there's a discussion if there's homes, right? Well, what's a home, right? What's the minimum of a home? So there's some discussion over there. So this kind of ties in. So over there, the Alter Rebbe does speak about it, and in one other area as well. So we kind of derive from other places. I think in regards to Pesach, I think there's a mention of something about a home. There's a mention also with regards to a minyan, whatever. It comes up in other areas as well. It seems like the Alter Rebbe is saying that it has to actually be 4 by 4 or 6 amos by 6 amos, 4 amos by 4 amos, 6 feet by 6 feet, in order to be chayiv in a mezuzah. If it has a square footage but it does not have the same dimension, But it's not obligated on mezuzah.
At least that's the minimum.
The minimum, obviously, bigger is bigger. I'm saying so. Like
if the larger space is abnormal in dimension, like it's rectangular, but you have that minimum of that square.
That's fine. If you have the square foot, meaning if it's 6 feet wide by 25 feet long, there's obviously you have that square footage. But if it's 5 feet wide by 35 length, you have way more than 36 square feet in there, but it's only 5 feet width. So according to Alter Rebbe, you would not be obligated to mezuzah.
So like a narrow corridor, presumably would not be exempt.
Exactly. Narrow, right? So it has to be, 6 feet is, I guess,
it's the average height of a man.
Right. So some say that because there's a dispute, and also because the Alter Rebbe didn't write it clearly, it's only like derived from what seems what he said. He did not write it clearly with regards to mezuzah. So I didn't hear from many Chabad rabbis that say that we should still put up a mezuzah without a bracha. And this applies to many areas where there's a doubt, different opinions. Unless it's clearly that it's not obligated, we generally do put up a mezuzah. We just don't make a blessing. Now, either way, usually you only make a blessing on your front door, and then you do the rest of your home. In theory, if this was your only room that they had a mezuzah on, you wouldn't make a blessing, but you still put on the mezuzah. So that's general the rule. That there's a dispute, we kind of just put up a mezuzah without a bracha. Okay, but definitely like pantries or things like that, which are really, really small closet, very small walk-in closet, doesn't have that square footage, which I think most probably don't. If they do, it's a larger walk-in closet. It may have the square footage. Then you would have to. If it does have the square footage, you would have to put up a mezuzah. And we'll talk about. I think here he speaks about walk-in closets. If it's something even considered a place of dwelling.
But wouldn't there be
another
like discussion, like change in there or something like that? When
if it's meant for that, if it's like yeah. Okay, we'll get to that hopefully soon. Okay, let's continue on Halacha 11. What is a doorway? You have to put a mezuzah. What does the word mezuzah mean? A doorpost. That's what it means. A mezuzah means a doorpost.
You put a mezuzah on a mezuzah?
Exactly. You put the mezuzah on a mezuzah. Mezuzah got its name, mezuzah, because it's what you put on the doorpost. So that's why we refer to it as a mezuzah.
what came first?
What came first? What's the Torah say? What's the pasuk? Uchsavtam al mezuzos beisacha. You shall write on the doorpost of your home. Right? The mitzvah mezuzah. The mezuzah, the doorpost came first. The mitzvah of mezuzah is to put it, uchsavtam. You should write it or that on the doorpost.
So how do the rabbis derive our current day mezuzah from it?
You can call it anything you want with any name.
No, I'm saying like it just says, and you should write on your doorpost. How
Right.
do we get the Shema?
That's the Halacha Class. That's the oral Torah. In fact, this is one of the, someone who is a denier in the oral Torah. One of the things you ask them is, do you have a mezuzah on the door? Of course I do. Well, why do you have a mezuzah? Where do you get that from? Why didn't you write something on the doorpost? Right? It's one of the things that all sects of Judaism, all all communities, they all have a mezuzah. Right? Why a mezuzah? This is the tradition. Where do we get it from? This is passed down from Moshe Rabbeinu. Anyways, okay. So Halacha Yud Aleph 11 discusses what is the criteria, the halachic definition of a doorway, doorpost. A doorway has to have two doorposts on either side. They have to be the height, at least minimum 10 tefachim from the ground. What is 10 tefachim? Roughly 30 or so, 30 plus inches. Let's say 30 inches. We'll keep it simple. About 30 inches. Some say 33 inches. So every tefach is really 3.3 inches. So 6 tefachim 6 for every tefach is 3.3 inches.
33 inches.
So 10 tefachim would be 33 inches. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll just say 30 inches. Okay, so it has to be, the doorpost has to be at least 33 inches from the ground. And it makes no difference what the material of these doorposts are. They can be from wood, they can be from stone. And even if the wall of the home, that is your doorpost, right? See, I was looking around. So here you have like a doorpost, right? You have an extra piece of wood on the doorpost. But what if you didn't have
Another example, in the stairway, there's just like wall. There's no wood.
exactly? So if the wall itself ends, or even if there's a corner, right? But this is where, it's not a continuous wall. That itself, maybe we'll do a walk around after. Yeah, I was gonna maybe do a walk around to see all the different things. Pack your lunch. So as long as there's the wall itself could be considered the doorpost. In addition to that, okay. I'm sorry, I missed the word here. So in addition to the doorpost, you also have the lintel on top, right? So you have two doorposts on the side and the mashkoif, the lintel on top, right? Now, what happens if there's only one doorpost? Okay, so do you have the diagram in there?
Down though?
That is up. They're both upside down.
Wait, it makes more sense.
Yeah, that's actually really funny.
It was confusing me every time I looked at it.
Yeah, it's upside down because over here they have a much better picture. My kids are. It's like, online. Do they have any diagrams? No. Okay, so maybe we want to show
It's
from David.
made to be able to.
See, you have the same. You have the same thing I have. You have the same thing I have. He has a much better diagram.
Can you see this?
Let me participate you sharing.
It's about sharing.
Avram has the same. Avram has the same one as David, but in his it's not upside down.
Mine's the sharing edition of us.
Okay, so what happens if there's only one doorpost, right? So you have a running wall on one way, right? You saw the picture? A running wall, and then you have a door, right, with a lintel on top and a doorpost on the right, on the side. So, basically, there's only one doorpost and one running wall. The wall doesn't end. It's not like a corner wall, but it continues going. So, do you have to put up a mezuzah? So the Kitzur says it depends on which side you have the doorpost and which side you have the running wall. Okay, so if again we are referring to if the entrance is going, let's say this way, right? You're facing the entrance. The right has a doorpost, but the left has the wall. Then you're
good.
No, the opposite.
Well, you're supposed to put your mezuzah on the right side.
If the wall is on the right and the doorpost is on the left, right? Then you're not obligated, right?
Like
Meaning, right? Because the mezuzah always goes on the right side, and you don't put a mezuzah on the wall, right? There's no doorpost, right?
Okay.
But if it's the opposite, if the entranceway the doorpost is on the right side and the wall is on the left side, then again there are two opinions whether you're still obligated, because ultimately there's only one doorpost, there isn't two, and therefore the compromise always is that we just do it without a bracha. So we do put up a mezuzah as long as you have a doorpost on the right side.
What's the mezuzah lack on the one that you arguably put on? What is it lacking? A doorpost?
It has to have two doorposts.
Oh,
Ideally,
only this is a doorpost.
That's not a doorpost.
No, this is a
that's
doorpost.
Exactly. That's a
not
wall.
a doorpost. That's
Right.
a wall.
That's a wall.
Okay.
So if there was no wall there, it was just like an open area with a one-sided doorpost. I'm not sure what that structure will look like. Then of course you don't put up a system. Here you have a wall. So at the end of the day, it's a doorway, right? But it's not a doorpost. It's a wall.
And that's going to be an interesting period.
Okay, we'll take a look at that, right? So there, you still put up a mezuzah without a bracha, because as long as on the right you have a doorpost. If it's the opposite, if the right side is the wall, then it is not obligated, and you do not put up a mezuzah on the wall. Okay. That is 11. Let's go to 12. 12, I think, is also maybe applicable to David's entranceway. Do you have an arch? Is it round? Oh, it's not round? Okay. So it is square? Okay. So 12. If there's a doorway that has two mezuzahs, has two doorposts, but there's no lintel, it has like a rainbow, right? A arch.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
You have a picture of it? No picture.
No, I don't have.
Okay. Or even if there's no doorposts, but it's just like from the wall, one long continuous arch. It's not that you have walls and then you have an arch on top, but it's just like
From floor to
the whole thing is one thing, right? From floor to floor here, just like this,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like that, right?
Right.
Yeah. See? Yes. Doorway.
So what's the situation on that one?
Let's find out.
Oh.
So what does it say? So it depends how much space, how much wall you have. So it says like this: if you have for the 10 tefachim off the ground, you have 4 tefachim.
This one says 10 handbreadths high and 4 handbreadths wide.
What's 4 handbreadths wide? Let's try to figure out what that means.
Or it's open, no? What does that mean wide? And obviously it's wide, it's huge. No, it's 400, 1 way, 400, 4.
Saying it's
Four tefachim.
right. So if the actual doorway is 4 tefachim wide, width of the doorway is 4 tefachim. Talk about
That's very small. That is narrow.
the doorway.
4 tefachim, that's narrow.
What? Why is that narrow for a doorway? How? This is a one. It's like what? 2 tefachim?
2, 3.
No, from doorway to doorway.
It's like this wide. It's like
This is
2.5 feet.
That's what I'm asking.
This is like 4 or 5 elements.
So what does width mean? Width means the opening, or width means the opening of the doorway?
It's the width being this.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, with this one.
Oh, yeah, because you
Oh,
this actual width.
That's what I thought it meant.
Piece of material. Oh, okay, that would make sense. Okay, now I see your question.
Yeah,
Now I see your question.
the width of the doorway. So it's not like a regular doorway that's like what, 2 tefachim or 10 tefachim. How thick is the doorway, right? 5 inches, 3 and 4 inches, right? 6 inches. But if it's actually 12 inches, 13 inches, which is
the border of the door.
right. So then you would be high. Then you would be obligated in the system. But if not, then you would. So meaning you have to have the height of 10 tefachim, like any doorway. And you also have to have the width of 4 tefachim.
So do you measure that height in the tallest part of the arch?
No, you measure.
You use fancy math.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
So it's the width of the actual piece of
The width,
material.
the width of the entrance, not the opening,
Not
but the
opening.
width of the doorpost. Yeah. So those stores that they have one doorpost from the ground until the lintel, and another doorpost that does not reach the exact lintel. So here's something interesting, and this is actually very applicable to many modern day kitchens. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Where you have, let's say, one doorpost, but the second doorpost, as you see in the diagram, there's an indentation, right?
Cut out, yeah.
You have the diagram, right? So it's not a straight line. It's not a straight doorpost from the ground to the lintel. So what do we do over here? So we have to look at the bottom section. Does the bottom section have 10 tefachim? Right? If it has 10 tefachim,
What do you mean it has 10 tefachim?
the height of the lower is
Cut
33 inches or more, then you put the mezuzah on the lower part. On the lower part, because that is a lead.
I thought this was illustrating whether it's on the right or the left.
Well, it is also right or left. Give me a second.
Okay.
Wait. If the mezuzah, if the regular mezuzah is on the right side, then you just put it on the right side. No question about it, right? Question is, if that funny doorpost is on your right side, right? Then you have to put it on the bottom half, the bottom.
Where it would normally.
And however, if the bottom is less than 33 tefachim, 33 inches, 10 tefachim, then you put it on the inner area.
So you put it on the bottom third instead of the top third.
Right, because look at this
Yeah,
illustration.
well, when we look at the 10 tefachim as a wall for itself, that becomes your wall, right? So this is very applicable to kitchens, where sometimes, depending on how the layout, there may be a counter, which is like directly adjacent or the doorpost of the kitchen. So there's no other, like it's like basically a continuation of the wall of the doorpost. So this becomes your doorpost. So I've seen kitchens where people have a little mezuzah on the side of the counter of their cabinet, because if it's 33 inches off the ground, then you put them and it's on your right side of entrance. If it's on your right of entrance, then you put it on that lower section.
Even a cat.
If the right of entrance is the regular thing, then you put on the regular doorpost. Or if it's less than 33 hours, 33 tefachim, which I'm not sure what the scenario will be, 33 inches. If it's less than that, so the Kitzer says you actually put it on the wider spot. I see some other people say you don't put it on the widest spot, on top, whatever. But this is what the Kitzer says. You put it inwards on the doorpost. Yeah. Halacha 13. Halacha 13 is that some people say that a doorway does not need necessarily an actual door. Even if there's no door, we know this today, right? Even if there's no door to the doorways, we still put up a mezuzah. However, there is an opinion that you actually do need a door. Only if you have a door, an actual door, do you put up a mezuzah. And therefore, if you are planning on putting on the door, better to put up the door first, and then put up your mezuzah. Because then, once you put up your mezuzah, then you put up your door. It's almost like the mezuzah was never put up. It was just there. Your mitzvah was done. According to the opinion that you need a door, and if you know door, then you're not obligated. So when you put up your mezuzah, you weren't obligated. Putting up a door makes the doorway obligated, but you never put up your mezuzah because the mezuzah was already there. There's a concept in halacha called tasav lemin ha'asur. You have to do it, and it can't just be done on its own. So because the mitzvah is not that there should be a mezuzah, you should put up a mezuzah. So if it was never put up when there was an obligation, so therefore you should take it down and put it back up. The best thing is if you're planning on putting on the door, first put up the door and then put up a mezuzah. However, we follow the halacha that even if there's no door, we put up a mezuzah. But this is interesting because if you remember last time we discussed the different ways of knowing which direction to go in and out, right? Which is right, which is left. So we said that one of the ways of knowing is the hinges, right? Where does the door open to? The door opens to a room, we assume that we're entering into that room, right? If we're pulling the door open this way, it means you're coming out, right? So that's the way to know which way is the right, which side is the right, which side is the left, right? So there was a whole discussion in regards to what if there's like a room that there's no other way to get in, but the door opens the other way, right? So if I have, let's say this room, let's say I have a room that there's no windows and there's no other doors, it's just a closed room, and the door opens out of the room, right? That means I'm walking from this room into the other room, but how did I get in, right? I obviously had to get in, so if I had to get in first, which side do I put up the mezuzah? I'm going into the room, even though the door opens outwards, or going out of the room because the door opens outwards, right? That was the question, right? And there's even there's lack of clarity exactly what is the answer, right? If there's like a window or there's some form of way of getting in without going through the door, then we say we go based on on the doorway. But if there's no other way, so what do we do? So some rabbis say no matter if you can get into the room or not, you always follow the doorway. And the reason they say is because the doorway is not just about which way you go in and which way you go out, but it's also about what type of door. Because there's an opinion that only a doorway that has a door is obligated in the mezuzah. So it's not about you walking through this doorway. It's because the door is this way. That means this is the right of this door, right? It's not about am I going to be walking inwards, in or out of this doorway. It's about the door itself. What is
In relationship to the mezuzah.
exactly? It's not about it's not in relation to the person. It's in relation to the doorway itself. Anyways, so that is what it says in the Kitzur. What I think the rest we kind of did already last time. I want to go through this book over here, which is an amazing book. It's in English and it's written very, very clearly. Even someone like me is able to kind of understand what's going on over here. And if you want to buy it or borrow it, it's called Mezuzah, Divine Protection and Blessing. Recommended by Rabbi Yishai Mehan and by Rabbi Mendel Zeitlin, by Rabbi David Nissen Bressman. Very interesting book, very clear. And Rabbi Yishai knows him personally. Is that a good thing or bad? No, it's a good thing. But there's it's like really goes into great detail and amazing diagrams and all the different scenarios. So I thought it would be good to kind of go through. I mean, a lot of it we kind of touched upon already, but some different scenarios that he goes through to discuss. Okay, so what happens? There are two side posts, but there's no lintel, right? We said this already. If there's no lintel, then you don't put up a mezuzah, right?
Right.
And that we find this in houses sometimes, right? Where there'll be a doorway, the doorposts, but there's just a regular ceiling, right? However, what happens if there's a drop ceiling that begins in that room, right? So like
Right above it, right above the door.
right above the door, right? So you have this over here, right? So you have
the hallway.
This hallway over here, right? So you have a taller ceiling over here. You have a doorway, which is basically the two corners. The wall beginning over here is considered a doorway, the doorposts. Right. But then there's a lower ceiling, right?
Oh,
so it's not a lintel, but it's a lower ceiling. So that lower ceiling, according to many opinions, does count for a lintel.
It does.
A lintel or lentil? How am I saying it? A lintel.
What's the difference? What are you saying?
I don't know. Lintel.
Oh.
And therefore, it wouldn't be obligated in a mezuzah, according to many opinions, right? What happens if there's a lintel or doorpost that isn't straight? Like I believe you have it outside over here, right? There's brick, either by the side post or by the lintel on top, right? It's not straight. It's not smooth, right? So generally, if it's not smooth, we say we don't count this as a doorpost. However, today, where people do this intentionally for a design, so then, I mean, the reason why the Gemara says it doesn't count as a doorpost is because it doesn't look like a doorpost. It looks funny, right? It's just like broken stone or something, right? It's not normal. But if it's done intentionally this is the design of the doorway, then we do consider it as a doorway, and therefore we do put up a mezuzah.
I thought you were going to say, what if people design it that way just so they don't have phones? So
okay. So we did the lower things already. We spoke about that. It's important that the doorposts actually reach within 3 tefachim of the ground. I mean, usually in our houses, our doorposts reach the ground, reach the floor. But in theory, if there was some type of doorpost that was more than 3 tefachim, so more than 9.5 inches above the ground, that doorpost would not count as a doorpost.
When you say ground, you also
floor. That's the floor of the floor of the room. Yeah.
I didn't even realize that you could even put a mezuzah on it if it didn't go to the ground.
You can't. No, it has to be within 3 So within 3 tvachim, we consider what's called lavut. Within 3 tvachim, we say it's close enough that we consider it attached to the ground.
Okay.
But above that, we don't put up a mezuzah. It's not considered
No.
a door. So this is also regards. It's the same laws in regards to sukkahs. So a sukkah, right?
Mhm.
A sukkah also has to, in order for it to count as a sukkah, has to be at least within 3 tefachim of the ground, of the floor of the sukkah. Okay. What about support beams? Okay, so you have support beams outdoors, beams around your house. Like in my new house, we have a few beams, or it can even be indoors. You have, like we have over here, support beams, right? So do we consider each one a separate doorway?
No way.
It's expensive, right?
Yeah.
You pay for the beam and for the mezuzah. So the consensus is it depends why they are there. What's the intention? What's the reason why there's a beam there? Is it for a doorway? We want additional doorways. Then you got to put up a mezuzah for every doorway. But if it's only for a support beam holding up the structure, or for decorative reason, for design, but it's not meant to be a doorway, so then you don't have to put up a mezuzah.
You don't have to. Here's the
No,
question.
no,
You don't have to, but are you allowed to?
Listen, you're allowed to do
It's
it.
a question.
No, you're allowed to do a mezuzah. The point is, there's no opinions. I mean, we don't follow the. I mean, it's basically the consensus is that you don't need a mezuzah. It's not like there's a real doubt. There's 2 opinions that we put up a mezuzah. We don't. You generally, if you look around, you don't see mezuzahs on these, columns outside of your house. Sometimes we hear, but a lot of people have these like 5 or 6 columns in front of their house.
Yeah, like
And technically,
or something.
technically, each one is a separate doorway, right? But it's not a doorway. It's meant for either for structural reason or for design. So you don't need to put them in design. Yeah,
Am I allowed to put 100 mezuzahs in my house?
it's a free country. Really are.
See, yeah, this is news to me. I would have thought
I'm saying mezuzah is something that we don't just play around with. It's a holy thing. But if you want to put up a mezuzah, I don't see why not. Unless people are going to assume that you're obligated and doing it, everything will learn from you. But I think mezuzah,
All that.
yeah, I don't think it's.
Is there a prohibition of putting up a mezuzah where it doesn't go?
So and that's what was brought up over here. I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing it. I mean, I didn't read the whole book, and I don't remember seeing it anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because
Can't put on your toilet seat.
I remember what's it called in regards to what's it called
Prohibition?
in regards to the Eruv. There's a whole discussion today with the Eruv. So there's this concept of a lechi. It's not for now to discuss, but there's a lechi. It's like a little post that you put to make to make the Eruv kosher. So it says that if you like, you shouldn't put any additional lechis that you don't need. Just why not? I'll put a lechi on this post, even though the post does not require a lechi, because then it's like it's
Which
a
one to go
confusing.
by?
Yeah, so like any lechis that are not needed should be come down. That's what it does say. But I don't think that is the case in regards to a mezuzah.
Maybe you should say a bracha when putting it up, possibly. If it's not.
No, if sure you don't make a bracha. A bracha you only do when you have an obligation. Anytime there's a doubt, we don't make a bracha. I'm saying there are many times you have a doubt, you put up the mezuzah without a bracha. But otherwise, you don't put up mezuzah just for no reason. I'm saying, unless you can't, but like the custom is you put up mezuzah when there's a reason. At least there's some opinions that hold that you should have a mezuzah. What about your stairway to like your attic, or if you have like some type of cellar or something that you have to climb down beneath your floor opens up, a storage room or something that you have to climb down. So because these are the doorways are not vertical, they are horizontal doors. So these are not obligated in a mezuzah. So you do not have to put up a mezuzah on these doors. What else comes to mind? What happens with a car, right? If a car has a square footage of 36 or 6 by 6 feet, you are not obligated in putting up a mezuzah because you don't live in a car. And even someone who rents or buys an RV and is there living in an RV, So if they're living there because they're taking a trip, they're going on vacation, so it's more of a convenience or a fun, way of going on vacation, you don't have to put up a mezuzah. However, if you are like families that we know who move into an RV for an extended period, it's not just a means of transportation. It's not just, hey, we'll have a nice time for a few weeks, even a few months, and we'll have a vacation during this RV. But this is like their home now. So those RVs do have to have a mezuzah. We do put up a mezuzah because while they are moving, technically they're not obligated in a mezuzah, but while they're standing still, they are obligated in a mezuzah. If this is your home, it's a home on wheels. That's your home, and therefore you would be obligated in putting up a mezuzah.
What about
an
Mr.
exit?
Fox,
Yeah.
What about, okay, one reason, with the van or camper or whatever, it's gonna be higher than that off the ground for your first step.
Right. So good question. Good point.
It'll be more than 3 to fuck them.
Yeah.
Would
So
that be like a second story floor?
So I think the answer is, like David is saying, that the floor is the floor of your home, right? The floor is, this is the floor of my house.
Mhm,
This is my platform,
mhm,
and I'm building a doorpost on this. So if the doorpost is hung higher than 3 tefachim off my floor of my house, then I'm not obligated. If the entire house is more than 3 tefachim off the ground, that's fine, because the ground is the floor level of the room. So whatever room you're in, and the same thing is with sukkah, right? I can build a sukkah on a tree. I can have a tree house sukkah, right? Never thought of that, right? Next year, David. That sounds exciting. We're bringing up the tree house. Obviously, you have to make sure there's no branches in between the sukkah and the thing. But the point is that the sukkah doesn't have to be on the ground, but the floor of the sukkah has to be within 3 tefachim of the walls of the sukkah. So the camper is, the floor of it is the floor of the room. So the doorposts have to be within 3 tefachim.
mhm.
Right. So I mean, I'm not sure all the designs of these RVs, but in theory, if you had an RV where like the bottom area of the door kind of spread out or something, and it wasn't, a doorpost within 3 tefachim, then that would be problematic. But yeah. Now, a door that is never used, for example, like an exit door or an emergency door, which is like no one ever uses it unless there's an emergency, right? You have that door in school, you have the door in whatever, where it's some commercial building that, like, if you open it, the alarm would sound, right? You only use it as an exit, never as an entrance. Those doors are not obligated in the mezuzah. However, if it's a door that is primarily used as an exit, but once in a while it's also used as an entrance. Hold the door, yeah, I'm coming, all right? So like sometimes people do enter in, then it is obligated. Generally, a lot of these doors don't even have a handle from the outdoors, right? It's only, you could only open it from the inside. You can never open it from the outside. And it's never used as an entrance. Those doors are not obligated in a mezuzah. Now, another common scenario, which we actually have this at the Chabad Center, is when you have a wider doorway with 2 doors. Right? So if it's one doorway, even though it could be 2 or 3, 4 doors, I guess it can't have more than 2 doors than a wider doorway. But if it's a wider doorway with 2 doors, each one opening to the side, then it's considered one doorway, and you put it on the right side. What if there's a doorpost in the middle, in between the 2 doors that we have from our social hall to the kitchen, right?
Mhm.
So here's something interesting I just learned when I read this. I did not realize this before. That actually, it really depends how wide the thickness of that doorpost, and it has to be at least a tefach wide. A tefach, we said, is roughly 3 or 3.3 inches.
The face of it or
The width of it.
thickness
The width.
of it would. So this that.
The width,
The width.
width.
This.
No.
This.
No.
This.
Yes. Yeah. Meaning
Uh-huh.
if I have
The face of it.
the face of it. Okay. So if I have one coming down over
The
here,
width, yeah,
so the width,
width.
not the width of the doorway, the width of the doorpost, of the
That's
face,
facing you.
the face of it,
Yeah.
has to be at least 1 tefach wide. I actually measured tonight at Chabad Center, and it's just about a tefach, maybe a little bit more than a tefach. It's about maybe 3.5 inches. A tefach is between 3.3 inches. So it's just over a tefach. So therefore, it is obligated in a thing. If not, I see what it says over here is that many rabbis will tell you that it's not obligated in the mezuzah at all. Meaning that centered, that extra doorpost, you just put it on the side, whichever is the entrance, the right side, and that's all you need. I see in the footnotes it says some people still put it on bracha on the center doorpost either way. But it seems like if it's less than a tefach, there's a lot of reason to say that you don't need one all together. However, in the Chabad Center, the hinges of the doors are both on the outer doorposts, right? One's in and one's out.
Mhm.
In the kitchen, one's
Yeah.
going into the kitchen, one's going out, right?
Okay, so where are the doorposts? Where are the hinges? On the both outer.
Yeah.
If that middle doorpost actually had hinges on it, then according to everyone, it's considered a separate doorway. So no matter how thick that is, it could be an inch. But if it has a door hanging on it, then it will be obligated. But if it's like does not have a door, just to separate the two doors, then if it's less than 3 inches, then you might not need a mezuzah on that extra doorway.
But you need two mezuzahs, right?
What?
You need two mezuzahs. You need one on one side and one on the other, right?
Right. So if that extra post is 1 tefach wide,
Then
then
you
you
get
need 2 mezuzahs for sure.
Yeah.
But if it's not, and there are no door hanging on it, you definitely could get away without putting a mezuzah on that doorpost. Now, doorposts that are in a corner also need a mezuzah. There could be scenarios where there is one doorpost that covers 2 doorways. Where am I over here?
Yeah, that's unusual.
So there also, so it's actually one single doorpost. So there it talks about how much space, if there is a tefach enough for each to count for each of the doorways, then you are obligated in a mezuzah. Hey, Karen, can you tell us more about your trade? All right. Thank you. Okay, there's a lot more over here as well. But just one last thing. There are a few more things. No end to this. You missed that kind of problem. Jacob is stepping out.
Okay.
This is an excellent coffee, by the way.
Is it working? Go too deep.
I'm not supposed to go too deep, right?
I'll go too deep.
Why? What happens? What happens if I do?
Gagging grounds. Okay, it might set off with a gag reflex. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, you did it.
perfect. Anyway, so just a few more things. 2 rooms, and you find this a lot in today's modern homes, right? You have 2 rooms in your house. You have your dining room, your living room, your family room, your whatever it is, right? You have a wide opening, just like we have right over here, right?
Mhm.
A wide opening, where seemingly you have all 3 conditions. You have 2 doorposts on either side, a doorpost on either side, and a lintel on top. So the question is, do we consider this 1 room or 2 rooms?
This one and that one.
For example, this room and that room, right? Is it 1 long room with a little design, or is it 2 separate rooms with the doorway in between? How do we look at these 2 rooms? So the truth is, it really depends on the purpose of this design over here. Why do we have this? Is it because we want to kind of give a feeling of 2 rooms, but they are adjacent to each other, and we can kind of walk through them? You can extend the room if you need, but it's really a feeling of dining room over here and what do we call that room? A music room over there, right? And it's nice that we kind of have an extension to it. So it's really 2 separate rooms, or it's really 1 room. I just like the design. I like to have a little post over here, like many other interior design things that we have in the house. This is also another design. So that's really the question. If it's only there for design, then we don't put a mezuzah over here. Why should it's not a doorway? It's 1 room. It's not a doorway. It's like the columns that we have, which is technically it's a doorway, but it's not a doorway.
This whole space.
If this is one room, right, that's not a doorway. That's just a piece of
It's decorative.
it's decorative, right? So you don't put a mezuzah there. But if the intention really was, I kind of want a 2-room feeling, and I just want a wider doorway, then I do put up a mezuzah. You know, this question came up just recently on my family chat, because in my home in Toronto. So when we moved into the house that my parents are currently in, so there were 2 separate rooms. There was a dining room, and then there was we called it a living room. It's like couches, a living room, right? And there's a wall in between. And then my parents, thank God, had a large family, they have a large Pesach or things like that. They wanted more space to extend the dining room a little bit. So they took down the wall in between the living room and the dining room, and they left like something like this. They left a little doorway. So the question was, well, why do you leave the doorway, right? Is it just for decorative, but it's really one long room, so you don't put up a mezuzah? Or do you want to kind of have the feeling of 2 rooms, but in a way where you could extend it? My father, I remember saying clearly, no, he likes the fact that there's a living room and a dining room. In fact, till today, there's the living room, there's the couches in the living room. There's a dining room table in the dining room. And when it comes, we have the family get together, there's a lot of guests. Okay, we extend the dining room into the living room. So there, the intention is still that there should be 2 separate rooms. So therefore, you have a separate mezuzah on that doorway.
Would you like some just water?
Sure.
And by the way, when you want to start moving on foot, I can hold a phone for you.
Yeah. We're almost there. I think we mentioned this already about courtyards, like an outdoor area. So first of all, today I believe most like fences or doorways, gates to our backyard, for example, don't have a lintel. They have maybe they have doorposts. Often they do, I guess. Why not? The gate itself could be the doorpost, right? The doorpost doesn't have to be thick. Where is it?
I thought we just said that earlier.
No, in certain scenarios.
The thing
Let's
is,
say-
on
let's say
most
that has-
gates,
You have a thin doorpost.
but on most gates, outside gates, you don't have lintel.
Exactly. So because you don't have a lintel, therefore you don't have to have a mezuzah. What if you did?
Well, then you have to
Some guy could put a wooden lintel on top.
Uh-huh.
So what if you did? So if you did, if the field or the yard that they going into is something that is used, not just like a place that people just walk through, but it's used for whatever. People spend time there, they sit there, you play, the kids play. It's a yard that is used, and the yard is fully enclosed, meaning there's no opening. It's not just like a little fence, but the rest of it is just open. If it's like a regular yard, like we have our backyards, for example, then you would be obligated to putting a mezuzah on that doorway. You would be obligated to putting it on the doorway. So anyway, so that is some of it. I mean, there's so much more, but I think we'll stop there with going through some of these. And I might reference this momentarily, but I want to walk around David's home, and Abraham will keep you on. We'll keep you on the on Zoom, so you could see some of what's going on over here. And I think I'm going to, hopefully we'll be able to.
Is there a way to change the camera where the screen is just viewing what I'm looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
Here we
it.
go. So let's start from the outside.
Okay.
Is there lights?
Yep.
Okay, starting from the outside. So here's a little complicated, right? Because in theory, there are 2 separate doorways over here, right?
Mhm,
But this just has its own lintel. This
uh-huh,
would be a doorway, right? Because the wall begins over here. So
mhm.
doorway, lintel. Then you have a separate lintel and a doorway, right? So the question would be, does this doorway need its own mezuzah? So one of the questions that arises is this decorative? Right? It's not really meant to be a doorway per se, it's just like the design of the home.
Also, if I was to entertain the thought, isn't there that 6x6? I mean, 6x6.
Now also, if you look at this as a separate doorway, then wait, so if this is a separate room, you need to have your a 6x6, right? So you don't have a 6x6. So some opinions say there's no 6x6 over here, obviously, it's just a little space. So therefore you don't need it, you don't need. However, there are some opinions that say that if it's like part of the doorway, the separate doorway, you might, especially if there's one element, say as long as one element, which obviously there is one here, it would be obligated. I'm pretty sure that we follow the opinion that you do not need a separate, mezuzah on this.
So you just need to
Exactly where it is right now. That's where you put. That's where you.
It seems like what they have is right.
What they have right now is right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me mention it here somewhere. Okay, so that is the outdoor.
Oh, real quick while you're here, what about picking up packages on Shabbos in this kind of situation? You're allowed.
Sure. Under here. This is check the measurement. It was enough. Was it 10 foot?
something like that, yeah.
Under ceiling.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially would be actually be able to do it under here. That's could get one wall over here.
But if it's in this in here,
Well, the package is a discussion for itself. If it comes on Shabbos itself, it was brought out of the city on Shabbos.
Mhm.
But if it's just like the keys, not available, just like carrying.
yeah, have like a little slit to the door. If they put it to the door,
Where there's
yeah.
one place that thieves never look for keys is under that. No,
Never.
So if you want to keep the keys, the safest place, right? So you want to keep the keys under the mat, then you probably would be able to.
Oh, okay.
Just okay, that's that. This is a regular doorway. That's a regular doorway, right? We can put this over here. Probably put this over here.
Because you'd be entering through here.
Wait.
But if this is decorative.
Oh, yeah, that's something you have to add. Yeah, but I'm assuming you're
No, but this is definitely a separate room. I mean, this is the dining room, and that's the music room. Right.
this is a
Which
regular
way do
door.
you normally go in?
I'm not sure where you put over here, which way it would go. Probably go either way.
Can go either way.
See over here, there's no lintel, no doorway. Also, the doorways have to be parallel. Even if this was a doorway and this was a doorway, but it's not directly on top. So this one here, you don't need it. This is
Oh, but what about this, Rabbi? Look at this.
well, that's not
Deep enough. Not deep enough.
So this is the case of like the earlier case where you have the ceiling comes down, drop ceiling, that would be considered a lintel. This would be a doorway.
If it were
was
longer.
A wider, if it was a longer.
Yeah, we had that in the hallway.
But it's not 66. I'm saying what? It's not even the square footage of 66. So this is not obligated.
So what
The
about?
question is over here. This area, I don't see why you would not be a doorway because you have. This is what we consider a double wall. This is, I'm sorry, this is a door post. This is definitely a lintel. And this is on the wall, a door post as well. You probably have to put a mezuzah over here.
Right here.
Yeah.
The thickness, that this is not the thickness that you would be concerned with as far.
No,
No.
are they not aligned?
Well, this is wrong, need for their post. The one before, the one was before, one's on the other
We
side.
consider this whole thing.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Right?
I see.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's,
I would put it this is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming it should be this side.
So it would need to be on this strip of This,
I mean, you're supposed to do it across the edges. but-
okay, so it could come out
Could be,
beyond,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Go this way over here, and then this would also need this would need a mezuzah. Not this, because here there's no, this is not a doorpost. This is a doorpost. And this is a doorpost, and this is a lintel. Like if this wasn't here, then you probably would not be obligated, because this is not properly against the doorpost. So because you have that, I'm assuming you'll need a
You're seeing
mezuzah.
that there's a beam right there.
Right, so
Yeah,
you probably need a mezuzah over here.
over there, okay,
Entrance to this way,
right, okay.
okay? This.
Now, this is where it's interesting, huh? No?
Well, the question is what the size is. This will be considered a door, a lintel and come down. This is the doorposts. You wouldn't need a mezuzah here, but the question is what the size is.
Do you consider it by the ground or by the whole wall?
Well, I think they have this. So this is a case of the right side has a doorpost, the left side does not, but there's also no lintel. So here you would not need a mezuzah. I don't see why.
Yeah, you need a lintel, yeah.
Because there's no lintel. But you need a
No
mezuzah.
lintel.
Because of the.
But so here you need a mezuzah. The question is, if this would be considered one room, but even if it is considered one room, but this is not 6 feet. Is it?
Is it the total square
This
footage?
is 10 12.
No,
This
no.
is 10 12 high, right? This is 33 inches.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then this is not even considered part of your room, because this is a wall for itself. It means
Okay.
your whole room, even if you consider this one room, not two separate rooms, is just this. You don't even have the square footage of 60, right? This is not 36 square feet.
No, we're going by 36 or 6 by 6.
So even saying 6 by 6 is.
Well, where do you start measuring?
You start
measuring here?
This is almost 6 feet from there to there.
And what's this?
And this is one,
Let's see, this is 6 by 6.
well, I don't have 12 foot,
So you have to measure
12
this.
foot feet.
You have to
I mean,
measure
12
this.
inches, 12 inch foot.
And the question is, the question would be, this is an interesting question, actually. But I'm not sure, even if you got 6 by 6, but you're not, see here, you got less. You don't have 6 feet, you don't have a square of 6 feet by 6 feet.
Sorry.
We're getting serious here, Avram.
How much is it?
Getting down to the measuring thing.
Like 5.5 feet.
5.5 feet, and then this way, I want to see the square footage.
The counter.
From the edge of the counter,
Like right here.
edge, yeah.
This one is
Here, oh, no, this one.
6.5 feet. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't get 6 feet because here you have even less.
Mm.
You don't have the square footage over here, so this would not be obligated in a mezuzah.
So none of these,
This for sure not.
This one, that's-
I don't see why this would be either because it's not big enough.
I mean, obviously this guy,
This
this goes to the
This
garage.
would at the garage. They also need a mezuzah.
They're both doors, I mean, all 3 doors.
4.
This door to the garage and then the 2 doors.
So laundry room is interesting. The laundry room in the Shulchan Aruch says that the laundry room does not need a mezuzah, but that's because they used to use a laundry room to like a very soiled place, like during clothing, like children's clothing. But today that laundry room is just a laundry room. So if it's a size 6 by 6, then you would need a mezuzah. That side would need a mezuzah.
And the 2 garage doors, right?
You go all there.
You have to go, wall to wall, I guess. Both the doors would need a mezuzah. Going inwards. Okay, where else? What's this?
I need to- I put it here.
The closet underneath the,
No,
it's like a closet.
it's not
Yeah.
mezuzah. What else? This room would be the mezuzah over here. So the truth is, this room would be the mezuzah over here. I'm sorry. Because it's going.
Because the entrance is into the house. Okay, yeah, because I'm gonna have a question about this, the overhang outside.
So here's the question, right? So here, the door opens outwards. So here, you would go, even though it's a side door, to the outside,
Mhm.
you would go on this side. Because the
On the
only
outside,
time an outdoor,
But even if it uses the main entrance?
the only time we use, my understanding is, the only time we use an outdoor doorway, the only time you put it on the right, even if it's against the door, the opposite way, is only if it's like a door from the outside, like not from the yard that's being used. There's other things. If it's like an actual, if like your side door was actual, like your main entrance from the street, then we always do it on the right, even if the door opens up like this. But because this is a side door which comes from your yard, so by definition it's like a side entrance. Therefore, you follow the door open.
So basically, if that gate wasn't there,
Right.
then
Right, like the example would be like at the Chabad, the side entrance to the shul, which is like directly to the street. So
Yeah.
to the outside, it's not, so there, you might do it on the right side, even though the door is open out.
Okay, here's a quick question. Is this a entrance, like on, at least on this side? Like does this need a mezuzah?
So it talks about an area that an outer area that has right over here.
what if it's an uneven roof?
A three-walled structure.
Or it's 2 walls?
Like this would be a halachic wall for this, right?
There's only 2 walls.
1, 2.
2.
That's not a wall. Okay. No.
No, that's a good question. That would be considered a 3rd wall for it. Even though it's not under it, it's still.
No.
Because I wouldn't be. It's still, even without the structure, it would still be 3 walls.
Right, we were talking about like
No,
something for just that doesn't. Okay.
Even without the door.
What's the question? That's a wall, that's a wall. Well, there's no roof. There's no level.
Sorry, Avram, it's kind of dark over there.
If this is your lintel,
Yeah, I'll see it a little bit here and there.
it's open, I don't think you need it has a 3rd wall. I don't think you
You can at least see silhouettes here.
need
Yeah, I can see.
We can put it on the.
3 walls. Theoretically. Yeah.
Not the green. Yeah, it's not dwelling.
Side open is exempt from this. These are not made of extras, but rather supported of the roof. If the structure has a wall on the 4th side, even though all the walls are low, you're not, yeah. So basically, you need. This is not meant to be a doorpost, right? This is meant to be a support.
It's a support beam.
Therefore, so that you would need actual 4 walls in order for this to be considered a doorpost. Yeah.
Okay.
That it?
I think so.
Upstairs is basically just.
Yeah, I mean, we're, yeah, it's like.
David, you counting them?
Straighten up a little bit, but we're gonna have a question about our that sink area for our bathroom. I could draw it on a diagram.
Here's the scenario that I was talking about. The theory, this doesn't apply to your situation over here. If this counter went all the way through here,
All the way.
the extra appearances, right?
Oh, actually, all
In
the way
theory,
to the
right?
edge of the wall.
And you had, if your kitchen ended over here, right? If this wall was basically ending over here,
Mhm.
so you have a doorpost basically over here, and your doorpost over here is up to here.
Mhm.
So, depending on which way is your right, in theory, if this was your right side, then you would put a mezuzah. That's the case.
On the counter. I mean, on the cabinet.
On the cabinet here.
Interesting.
Well, the question is, you put it on the cabinet and it moves. But if it was a different layout, I mean, I've seen people have mezuzahs like over here.
Wow.
But like this is like here's another scenario. Whatever. I mean, look at the scenario. Basically,
Don't
like,
seem like they should have one now.
if you had a wall over here, If this was all the way here, right?
He's saying if, yeah.
And then this wall came out all the way through here,
Uh,
and this wasn't big enough for a mezuzah, then you will put a mezuzah over here.
interest, because it's on the right side.
On the right side. No, it doesn't apply to this kitchen. It doesn't apply to most kitchens. But I've seen it
Yeah,
with like awkward kitchen layouts.
yeah.
That it just comes out like, hey, like this is what we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I could, and by the way, I could draw like real quick. Is there something?
Like gazebo is round. The top is round?
No, I'm saying the whole structure is round.
That's fine. As long as it has 6 by 6. Here's the scenario.
You're talking about you're going back to that.
See this in your wall?
Mm-hmm.
And you got a counter here, a counter here, and you're going through.
Yeah.
So this is your mezuzah.
That
Wow.
little,
I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
yeah.
Really?
Okay, so
Design your kitchen.
I'm gonna draw real quick. I'll get back to saying, draw a diagram of our bathroom situation.
It's like a separate room.
There's like a walk-in closet, there's 2 sinks and then the bathroom.
Right. So the bathroom is right here, and there's a French door that swings out of the sink area. So this is the sink area. There's 2 sinks right here, and then there's a walk-in closet that the door opens into, right into the closet. Right. So this is the walk-in closet. It's
6 by 6.
no, it's very
No,
rectangular.
it's rectangular.
It's like
definitely long enough
4
for
by
that.
9 or 4 or
More
so.
than 6 feet long, but
Yeah.
wide, I don't know that it's 6 feet.
But this is, I can measure it real quick. But
We'll do it later.
yeah,
Later.
but this is separate. Like there's a door right here.
So I have to look it up again, but my understanding is, if I remember correctly, that like those bathrooms that have like, the sinks in one room and the actual bathroom and the shower in the other room,
Mhm.
we also don't put up a mezuzah in that room because it's basically seen as one room and the door locks and people are undressed in that room as well.
Okay.
So even though it's not like the actual bathroom, but it's still used for the bathroom. So we don't put a mezuzah on those.
It's like a bathhouse situation. Yeah.
It's like a bathhouse. So, yeah, and then the what's it called? The closet doesn't have 6 by 6, so you definitely don't need. Once you're out there for sure, you don't need a mezuzah.
Yeah.
If it was somewhere
We don't have any
else,
closets
somewhere
that are
else,
6
I would say put it anyways because it has a square footage. But if it's also it's coming out of the bathroom, I would probably just skip it.
Yeah. Oh, what about that stairway entrance? Like, I guess that's not 6 by 6. Yeah. No, not right. That's nothing.
No. Where is this tall enough?
In
There's no
here,
window.
there's no window. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, the doorway.
This is the
There's
door.
not. This is considered. the
Where's the doorway? Is this the doorway? A door post. This is the doorway.
Oh, I see.
No.
Oh, okay. I see.
To be honest with you, Rabbi, I would have thought that this was going to be a lintel, considered a lintel, but
The doorway.
there's no door. Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, we said here, this is the.
Right.
See it? But you still
But
need it over here.
But if it had one doorpost, then you need, right?
Where?
I'm saying on
On the right side.
On the right.
Yeah.
On the right side facing the door.
Which this one, this
On the right side going in.
one. If I had a door post over here, but not over here, I would put it over there. So this is going into from here. You go into the main room. Any hallways always leading into the roof, right? It's on the room leading into the hallway. So over here is this room.
But and so hypothetically, if all these, like, let's say this, we've said this one is not going to need, but let's say that this did not have this little strip of wood
The end of
on either side.
not a strip of wood. The end of a wall, the
It is
corner
not. That's right.
is considered a lintel.
Okay.
Like Okay, so Sebastian's gonna be here. Okay, this is a, this is not the door, this is an office. This is down here. Right? This is the-
Mhm.
Okay, what's this? On the top.
It's a closet, like it's a small closet.
That's it.
What if it's an area that theoretically would require Mrs. Those two like bathroom.
That's what you said, like a walk-in closet on the right off the bat. What do you mean?
No, I'm just saying, like, theoretically, if his door would require Mrs. but I'm saying like, oh, there's that.
The bathroom door doesn't have. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Can't think of any other scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put this up or is it that we got now?
It was your.
You got it.
Oh,
No,
cool.
I don't
We would have
necessarily-
not have picked it out, but we're glad they did.
So one ball.
Uh-huh.
Like wood and metal together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyways, that's that, Ram.
Okay, good night.
If you want to come to your
Thank you.
house.
Yeah, we,
Anyways.
we need to put up some more mezuzahs. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
I gotta go to my new house and figure out all the members. I didn't even take a look at it yet,
Wow.
but
We're
we're
gonna need
moving.
probably 15 or 20, huh?
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping on that many.
Yeah.
Not that many.
Right. Well, thank you.
Anyways, okay. Yeah, take care, Abram.
Actually, this was pretty interesting because it's actual factual, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to before we did a walk around, I wanted to kind of review those halakha because it's a lot to remember, a lot to take into account. The different opinions,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Anyways.